I'm really wondering how I ended up on this stage today, speaking to you all. I'm not a lifelong activist. Prior to the last 9 months, I'd never been on a demonstration before. I've always been politically aware. It's difficult not to be when your childhood car journeys are filled by the songs of the anti-Vietnam War movement, the campaign for nuclear disarmament, and the 1980s miners' strike. Yes, I was and I am a union member. I would rant and discuss things with my friends and family. Maybe I'd write to my MP, but nothing more. But there was, and continues to be, something about the horrific onslaught on the people of Gaza, which wrenched me off of my metaphorical political armchair and quite literally into the streets. In the terrified eyes of every bandaged, orphaned child, I saw the eyes of my own children. I felt the desperation of the parents digging through the rubble with their bare hands to find the body or just the limb of their child. I had to do something, anything. If nothing else than for my own conscience. In the future, when my children ask me, what did you do to stop the Gaza genocide? Would I say that I sat at home and cried and posted on social media? Or would I say that I marched, I organised demonstrations and fundraisers, I boycotted, and I spoke out? I can tell you now that it's the latter. I will tell my children. The very first protest I ever went on was the 28th of October last year. I'm ashamed to admit it, but I was scared. My only exposure to the Islamic religion and Arabic culture was through the heavily biased lens of the UK media. And as a visibly queer person, I worried if I would be welcomed, accepted, or even turned away. I now know that these prejudices were not only untrue, but Islamophobic and xenophobic. I'll be honest, that day in Bournemouth, the rain fell sideways, and nobody really stopped to chat afterwards. But I learned 2 important lessons. Number 1, always use water-resistant marker pens on your placards. And number 2, I learned that day, and in the months that followed, that I am fully accepted in the struggle for Palestinian liberation. In December, at one of the national marches in London, I carried a placard which read, "This transgender person is marching for a free Palestine." On the journey up to London, my anxiety was loud. But the only interactions that my placard initiated were of love and acceptance. People asked if they could take a photo, whilst many women wearing the hijab gave me a smile and a thumbs up or a wink. By no means am I holding up Arab nations as a beacon of queer hope. Far from it. But who are we in this country to judge, where trans people are stabbed to death walking in the park, where our government is rolling back trans kids' access to gender-affirming healthcare, which will lead to, and already has led to, the deaths of trans kids? How dare anyone ask me, why are you supporting Palestine? Don't you know they kill people like you over there? Don't you know they kill people like me in this country?
Yeah. Yes.
Queer people exist in Palestine. That is a fact. We exist everywhere and always have done. Queering the Map is a community-generated online archive of LGBTQ stories and experiences. The following is just one extract from Beit Hanun in the extreme north of the Gaza Strip. I don't know how long I will live, so I just want this to be my memory here before I die. I am not going to leave my home, come what may. My biggest regret is not kissing this one guy. He died 2 days back. We had told how much we liked each other, and I was too shy to kiss last time. He died in the bombing. I think a big part of me died too. And soon I will be dead. To Eunice, I will kiss you in heaven. Early in the Israeli bombardment of Gaza, I saw a news article showing a gay IOF soldier flying the pride flag over the ruins of Gaza City and saying how he had always wanted to fly the pride flag in Gaza. I continue to be outraged by that story. The pride flag is a flag of universal love and peace. It is never a flag of hostile conquest, occupation, and destruction. To use the argument of progressing LGBTQ rights to justify death and destruction is homo-nationalism. We call it out as such and say not in our names. As a queer person, my solidarity with the Palestinian people is unconditional and non-transactional. I do not lend my energy to their struggle in the hope that one day the favour will be returned for my struggle. It is simple. I cannot live happily whilst others are being oppressed. I cannot live happily whilst children are having limbs amputated without anaesthetic. So, why am I saying all of this at a trade union festival? Why is the occupation of Palestine and the genocide of the Palestinian people a trade union issue at all? Why do they need our solidarity? Firstly, I humbly tell you my story because I believe it shows a tiny slice of what solidarity can look like. Secondly, I won't lie to you. There is no way that advocating for Palestine will bring you a wage increase next month, or flexible working hours, or more parental leave. I could make the argument that whilst people are oppressed and violence rages, we will never enjoy prosperity here and stability and true liberty. But that's not what I'm going to focus on. I could also make the argument that it's the same systems of governmental oppression that are selling weapons to Israel that are also bringing in anti-union laws. But I'm not even going to focus on that. No. For me, the answer is much more simple. As trade unionists, standing with the oppressed is who we are. It's what we do. It's in our DNA. I'm a Unite member, and I'm proud of our heritage. After all, it was workers at the Rolls-Royce factory in East Kilbride, in the forerunner to the Unite Union, that refused to work on aircraft engines for the Pinochet regime in Chile. Because of their actions, for a time at least, there was not a plane in Chile that could fly, and countless lives were saved. It was the London dockers in 1920 who refused to load the SS Jolly George with weapons to fight the revolutionaries in Russia. And it was British trade unions in the 80s and 90s who were crucial in the fight against South African apartheid, both on the macro and micro scale. Like the NHS workers in Portsmouth who refused to handle South African medical supplies, the Ford Motor workers who stopped South African truck imports, all the journalists who refused to print South African advertisements. And in 2003, a general strike in Spain stopped the Spanish forces from joining the illegal Anglo-American invasion of Iraq. And, never forget, after the incredible work of Lesbians and Gays Support the Miners, It was the National Union of Mine Workers who led the Pride Parade in London the following year. Because solidarity breaks down walls and builds bridges. So, please, I beg you, as individuals and as unions, do whatever you can for the Palestinian people. Boycott, join a local protest, put pressure on government, put pressure on your employer, talk to your colleagues and friends, celebrate Palestinian culture and identity. And one day, I hope, within our lifetimes, between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea, Palestine will be free.